Hey everyone, how's it going? Bowser the Healer here, and today I want to talk about how I'm using Ouroboros in my new talent build from 10.0.7. Now, not everyone needs to run the new Ouroboros talent, but I really like the way it feels, and I've also changed a lot of my play to accommodate the key level that I'm running, because I'm running a lot of 21's, 22's, and now 23's, and it can get a little spicy, so a lot's actually changed with my build, so I figured I'd go over the whole thing. As per my usual disclaimer, this is a Mythic Plus build. This is not a raiding build. Are you going to use Ouroboros and raid? Probably, but like, this is all Mythic Plus stuff. And my second disclaimer is, what if you're a Call of Yasera player running the old meta build? Honest to God, still meta, still strong, still good. I don't feel like you have to change unless you want to make use of Ouroboros, which I'll explain all about how useful I do find it. But I think you're honestly good if you want to keep it to Call of Yasera. It's important to remember that it's much more dangerous to always use Verdant Embrace before you Dream Breath, right? Like, unless you know you need the extra potent Dream Breath, you don't want to be wasting your Verdant Embraces, because there are a lot of situations where you run out of heals, and it's nice having something like Verdant Embrace around to kind of help do a large cleave heal while you're waiting for your other moves on cooldown. It's always been the risk of Call of Yasera. It's just before this patch, we could just throw a Temporal Anomaly, hit Reversion, and all our problems went away. Now that we can't do that, this risk becomes a little more inherent, but honestly, you're all probably fine. If you've been using it for a while, you've probably gotten pretty good at it, so don't worry about it. Now, on this talent tree, there's a few interchangeable talents. I just want to go over them. Spiritual Clarity, Font of Magic, Grace Period, 2 points, 1 point, or no point, Time of Need, and even Erasure sometimes for me now. Double Erasure is just one of the best pug healing things you can bring, because it gives you one extra button to kind of help them through mechanics or through some dangerous situations. Time of Need is also an amazing pug button, and or pug button, it's a pug passive. But those are the moves I sort of swap in and out depending on need, like what kind of dungeon I'm in. There's even a reason to take Rush of Vitality still every once in a while, so I don't mind shifting those points around. I will get rid of Renewing Breath every once in a while, but it's rare. I really like this. And speaking of, I think Dream Breath on its own is a fine heal, and I can use it in a lot of situations, but there are many times I wanted just a bite, just a little more healing out of my Renewing Breath. And I feel like the 1 point in Renewing Breath is that little bite that I want. In fact, when I get when I get Season 2 tier, and I end up getting the stronger Dream Breath from the 2-piece, oh, you bet. I might even get rid of this talent entirely and always be rocking the 2-point Grace Period. And Grace Period, I just want to give an honorable mention to, along with Life Giver's Flame, now that I'm not just pressing Temporal Anomaly and Reversion. I have a screenshot here. I can't remember what dungeon this was from. I want to say it was a 20 something. I honestly don't remember. I just know it was a tough dungeon, but I was really shocked afterwards because I was like, wait, Life Giver's Flame is number 2, and often it's in my top 4 for my healing. And I think Grace Period is to blame for that, because there's still a lot of times that I Reversion sitting on people simply because they get additional healing from Grace Period, and I get to farm up my instant cast Living Flames. So this and Grace Period combined with other healing has been really nice, and I really like keeping Grace Period around. And also, I don't mind dealing with a 4-minute full potency rewind. It's such a good move. Like, it kind of doesn't matter that it's a 4-minute. It just depends on what dungeons you're doing. There are dungeons on Fortify Week where the boss doesn't go through enough damage phases, where I'm worried about using all of my rewind charges. Depending on the level of Halls of Valor, right? Even Storm Shield, like, I can just get away with a single rewind in a lot of instances. So I don't mind playing around with this talent. But let's talk about Ouroboros, because it's super interesting. Every time you cast a manual echo, no Temporal Anomaly, you will end up getting a stack of Ouroboros. Each stack is 30% extra healing on your Emerald Blossom up to 5 times. And the healing from it is kind of insane. So just to give you an idea, I'm probably gonna attack these units over here so you can actually see the heal in motion. But we gave everyone an echo, we throw the Emerald Blossom, and I mean, just look at that healing, right? That's a ton. I've seen it go even higher. I've seen 400 something K on this. Depends on how many crits you get, but this is a ton of healing out of a single button. And so that's why, to me, it's so worth running. You can sort of use Ouroboros as a replacement for a Spirit Bloom or a max charge Dream Breath on certain mechanics, but it has a pretty big cost to entry, and it's those 5 echoes. However, what ends up happening in my runs is I'm just throwing echoes on people left and right normally, for echo reversions, for living flames, for you name it. Even sometimes I'm just walking up to the melee to help fight and to heal them. I'll throw an echo on the backline before I do anything, just so that they get heals if I need to suddenly heal someone. And the result is you get Ouroboros up all the time. Even at 3 stacks, I would argue it's worth it. Now, you don't get to mash Ouroboros stacks with Echo and then just throw an Emerald Blossom. You would need to be able to predict an Essence Burst. Well, this isn't season 2 where we can actually predict an Essence Burst, where I think this will be really useful, but you sort of have to let it happen. You're going to have enough Essence for an Emerald Blossom at some point, or you'll be able to get an Essence Burst during a certain phase, and then you might be able to just go, oh, I can use that Essence Burst on, say, this damage phase coming up. But when you start remembering, oh, I have a fully stacked Ouroboros, and you start using Emerald Blossom in place of other heals, it helps you take an extra step, right? I always talk about how falling behind on Preservation Evoker sucks. And I feel like Ouroboros lets you take a step forward. Like, it kind of gets you ahead of the curve in a way. And there are parts of the game where there's so much healing that I find that to be incredibly beneficial. So this is the build I'm running. I have it linked down below. And I do want to go over the Evoker side of things, because a few things changed. I'll give it up. I got rid of Protracted Talons, especially when I'm running with my team. If I'm not running a Pressing Roar, which usually in Pugs I actually won't run a Pressing Roar, it's nice to have the extra AoE damage, but realistically, my damage output is still pretty freaking high, even when I don't have it, because I still have Leaping Flame, which is quite a bit more damage, if I'm being honest with you. You also notice I'm running Terror of the Skies. This really depends on the dungeon, but if we need more stops and we need more crowd control, there's no reason for me not to bring this. And when you combine it with a Pressing Roar, you get a pretty fat, I think it's like 5-second, 4.5-second stun. It's real strong. So I really like having this around, but you might be seeing there's a huge gap in here. Yeah, not running Rescue can be a little weird in certain dungeons. Not having extra stamina, even after buffed, can be a little weird. All depends. If I need extra tail swipes, I gotta run this talent. If I end up needing more self-healing, I have to run Fire Within, and I'll shift out like things like Terror of the Skies or Zephyr, depending on the dungeon, if there's not a lot of AoE damage that's coming out. It's a tough choice to make, and it's really hard to choose which of these talents I'm willing to throw away for the sake of extra health or extra damage. But all in all, this has been working great for me. Mostly changing stuff on the preservation side in order to better set up for a dungeon, but that's about it. I think Ouroboros is wonderful, and I think it'll be even more fun when we have the better Spirit Bloom and we have the Essence Burst that we can like call out, right, with the 4-piece. I think there's a lot of really fun builds to be had here, and there's one build you'll all see in the future from me soon. I'm going to run a max damage nose Dormu's teaching build. I actually think there's some viability in that, so I want to explore that. But this is it, and this is what's been working great for me. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you have questions about it or how I deal with certain things, drop it in the comment section down below. I'm going to try to get another video or 2 out before the MDI weekend, where I'm either going to be streaming and watching the MDI, or I'm going to be plastered to a screen and taking notes. Take care, friends. I'll see you all soon.